Hello everybody, welcome back to the Pokéthon channel. This is Pokéthon 2021. We are here for the third and final day of Pokéthon, which is a bit sad, but before we get to the sadness of the end, we have a couple more things for you, including this next hour and a half where we're going to be discussing your unpopular Pokemon opinions. We want to hear from you, so if you do have any money to give towards Direct Relief, you can donate $10. And that will get your donation read out on the stream. We'll all discuss it, all four of us, whether you think Caterpie sucks or all these other terrible opinions. I'm sure that you have, because everybody has a terrible opinion, I think, in them. So we want to hear from you. Get involved. It's going to be more of an interactive segment than what's been before. So we're going to be reading chat. We're going to be doing the donations, and we want to hear from you. Like I said. There will be polls up in the chat room as well, so start voting on those as well once we get into it. But yeah, let's get started. My name is Hawk. I'll be the host, or Dan. I don't really care. Do whatever you want. I'll be the host. So I'll be guiding these through around all the different segments and opinions. But we're going to go over first to Toby, Birdkeeper Toby. How are you doing today, Toby?
I'm good. Can I start with a very, Pokemon opinion that I think everyone will agree on, which is, wow, I love your background. What a
this?
cool
yeah.
So cool.
It kind of looks like a 5-year-old has thrown up in my room. Yeah.
But that's the goal. That's what we're all going for. I'm good.
I don't think I'm allowed to do sponsorships, but it's £9 on Amazon, so bear that in mind. I'm doing good. Yeah. Are you excited to do some opinions, Toby? Have you got
the Doctor Who?
Literally, I've grabbed everything cool that's in my room and I've just thrown it behind me. That Pikachu is new. It's yeah.
Ooh, I've got some people saying that I'm too quiet, by the way. In chat.
I can turn you up. We can turn you up.
But I am excited.
Is everyone else good? Is Ron and I good?
Yeah. I'm talking right now. Really well.
We can hear you talking.
Yeah, Toby's perfect for us, but according to the stream.
Yeah. That's it.
Let us know, people.
I don't think I'm going to have any opinions that I think are too controversial. But maybe, I don't know. There's a lot of Pokemon fans out there, so the range of opinions is wide.
That's very true. You're bound to upset somebody.
Yay!
Yeah. So that's good.
I agree to this, why?
Hopefully one of us, because that would make for some good content. So that'd be great. We've also got Alex, the Aura Guardian. How are you doing today, Alex?
I'm good. I'm ready to argue.
Everybody's ready.
Hopefully it won't get too fiery.
Nah,
I'm sure it won't. I'm sure we'll all still be friends.
We're civil. I'm sure we'll be civil. We'll be fine. And Ron, True Green 7, how are you doing today as well?
Good. I'm gonna speak loud just in case it wasn't fixed.
I think you're good.
Good.
Yeah.
But I just this is always a fun segment for me because I don't think my opinions are too extreme, and I've heard every opinion by now, so it's like I'm not gonna get angry by anything.
There you go. That's a challenge. If you can get your donations in, see if you can get Ron angry.
Exactly.
Yeah. Whoever can do that. Yeah. Whoever can do that.
No, I don't mean that.
But yeah, thank you so much everybody for watching. We are raising money for Direct Relief. If you can't donate at all, we completely understand. But what you can do is you can follow the channel, you can host the channel, and you can tweet out and share the stream on all your different socials and get as many people in here as possible lurking, chatting, and helping us out. It would be great. But on that, I'm going to go to Ron first, who has a very particularly spicy take that I want to hear from. Go for it.
I didn't think this was going to be too spicy. I thought like a lot of people already, not agree, but already has heard of this opinion. But that is that Johto as a region is relatively boring. Now, it's not that extreme. Like, I'm not going to be like black and white, everything sucks in Johto. I love Johto, just like any region. But compared to other regions, it doesn't have as many interesting... I mean, interesting is relative. But it doesn't have that many dynamic or locations. Most of the routes are just... Almost all routes are like grass routes. I like the route, I don't know what number it is, but below... Blackthorn, I love that route. I love the structure of a lot of the routes, but they're all just grass routes. And there are interesting locations like landmarks and like caves, I guess. Ice Path is like, I love Ice Path, but like other than that, the lore of the region is really good, but I'm specifically talking about, I guess, the terrain. The terrain of Johto is not the best. Maybe second worst compared to, you know, for example, Kanto's probably the worst offender of this. But it just gets better and better, at least until Generation 5. After that, it's all subjective. But I'd say like each region's terrain is better than the last, usually.
I think most people are agreeing with you in chat, to be honest, and I do agree with you as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think as the regions go on, that they get more unique. Like for example, Kalos is France, and then Alola is completely different from all the other regions, and then Galar has its own thing, whereas Kanto and Johto are like kind of similar to each other, but at the same time they're like the first two regions, and obviously they're neighbors as well.
So I think Johto has like it's when I'm thinking through playing through, it's like it's fine, and then you get to Ecruteak City, and Ecruteak City itself is fine, and it's weird. It's that point where you've got your fourth gym, and then the world opens up. You're able to go anywhere, and I feel like it sort of like hypes up until Ecruteak, and then you get past Ecruteak, and then it's very monotone until you hit like Blackthorn City again. Does that make sense?
Can I say something? So whenever I'm playing through Johto, I'm always excited to get to like a town or something, but then when I leave the town and enter a new route, I'm like, it's not a cool experience like in other regions. Oh, I finally made it to Route 113, or I finally made it to Route 210. It's like, I underrated in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, the I guess Route 47 and 48, like the new ones with the waterfalls. I love those. So the ones that are added in Generation 4.
Gen 2 though, those are like...
yeah, but Johto in general.
It's interesting that you like the route that comes down from Blackthorn, because I remember just like I just see that as like a wall of gravelers, and then and that's all I remember it for. But...
Well, the Pokemon you encounter are never interesting in Johto, honestly. But even with trainers, but like, but the terrain I like in specific routes.
I think what leans me towards agreeing with you is that when I think of all the regions, Johto is probably the least memorable to me. Just because all the other regions, I have multiple areas in them that I just like instantly remember, whereas Johto, I have a couple, and then I have to actually think about the other parts of the region, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, same here. I do remember, I like the route below Violet, like when you're going to Azalea Town.
Yeah.
Maybe only specifically in Heart Gold and Soul Silver with like the bridge, not the bridge, but like the overpass above the path. It's a nice looking route. There's a lot of dynamic routes, but they're all just the same, basically.
I think the Pokemon in general as well, they're kind of like, I don't know how many additions there were from Generation 1 to 2, but it kind of feels like they're not
exactly.
100 exactly.
I think with the issue that they had is that a lot of the new exciting Pokemon that you'd want to use, your Murkrows and your Houndours and your Sneasels, they're in Kanto, or they're not available until super late game, and that really hinders it, because you just end up catching a lot of the original 151 in your team, which was, I don't know, maybe the point, maybe that Gen 1 was such a big success that they really didn't want to deviate from the formula for the sequel. They just went, here, have some more Krabby and Coughing and Ekans and Nidoran, and that's what you want. Yeah. But I don't know, I agree with the staleness of the routes, especially when you compare it to like a region like Hoenn, where you've got like specifically the Ash route. Is that 113 where you walk on this? Whoa! Look at this place,
Well, the Sinnoh route where it's just snow.
Well, Ron, chat has decided they agree with you. 19 to 15 people said, yeah, Johto's a bit boring, basically. Yeah.
First, that's a cool feature.
Doesn't that mean he loses because it has to be an unpopular opinion? And
Oh, actually, yeah, that's fair. No, that is fair, actually, to be true.
We'll have to have a separate poll to have.
We'll have to have a little scoreboard, like a little, how many you win.
It wasn't spicy enough, I guess.
No.
Should we read the $10 donation?
Yeah, we have Fruit319. Thank you so much for your $10 donation. The Kalos anime is better than the original series, Kanto and Johto. The only better series are Hoenn and Sinnoh. The Unova anime is the worst. So the Kalos anime is better than the original series.
Okay,
Now-
well, the Unova anime being worse is not an unpopular opinion. Everyone thinks that. Literally everyone. My personal favorite animes were the Hoenn and Sinnoh, just because those are the ones I watched the most. I haven't seen much of the Kalos anime at all, although I will say I think the battles I've seen, I think are better quality than the battles before, because a lot of the battles before were just Pokemon moves, and then it hits the Pokemon, and then they're just like moving. It basically tries to give the effect of it just got hit. If that makes sense. Whereas a lot more is happening in the battles with Kalos, but I haven't watched much of the Kalos anime, so I don't know if it was as funny as the original, because I remember the original having some funny lines in them. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I like the individual scenarios of the original Kanto ones the more, but like in terms of like quality, in terms of overarching plot, in terms of maybe characters and Pokemon and especially battles, yeah, I'd say Kalos is critically, and like if I really not objectively, but if I tried to critique it, I would probably say Kalos is better than Kanto, definitely better than Johto. And Hoenn, like again, I also like Hoenn is especially like the Hoenn anime is like my personal favorite, but not for like objective reasons, just because I watched that as a child. But also, I did watch Kanto as a child too. So Hoenn is one of my favorites, and Sinnoh has like better moments than Hoenn. But yeah, Kalos is. I think a lot of people think Kalos anime is better than, or at least rivals.
I'm gonna like disagree a little bit in that my experience of the anime is pretty much watching the first like 3 regions, Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, and then not really watching much past that.
Same.
I did watch the League series for Chaos, because that was like a whole series arc where the League and
Everyone
Lysander and
was
Zygarde.
thinking this might be the year Ash wins.
Yeah, right. And I think if you're looking at it purely as like a narrative, then I guess it looked to be that the Kalos saga had like actual sort of structure and writing and goals and that kind of thing, which is quite light, I think, in other series. That said, I don't think it's necessarily better because of that. I think the original series and the Orange Island, when they were still trying to work out what they could be, there's so much charm and maybe I'm just being nostalgic about it, but there's so much charm and creativity because they were just having fun with it. Whereas I think nowadays, even when they're saying, okay, we're going to take it seriously and, you know, here's the story, I still think that it's very formulaic, and I think that there was just more range for doing zany things, and that led to like incredible moments. Ash sitting in a cave surrounded by his Pokemon, it looks like they're gonna freeze to death in a kids show, or Butterfree disappearing, or Pikachu maybe saying goodbye, or like the moment that I don't know, like Charizard finally listens to Ash. There's all of these like really concrete moments in the first like 1 to 2 seasons that I don't know because I don't watch them, so maybe I'm just looking at this with rose-tinted glasses, but I don't know if the later seasons have had any of those moments that have like permeated through the...
There are some.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, and like what you said, is that the original had better episode premises, while the Kalos one had better everything else. Yeah, how to make an anime, like they made a better anime in Generation 6, but they made a better like Pokemon anime in Generation 1, I guess.
I will admit the Gen 6 theme, the Japanese one, everyone knows which one it is really good.
I don't watch the anime.
Ninja theme.
I don't watch the anime, so I don't have anything to add. All I remember, just going off what you said, Ron, I also watched the Gen 3 anime when I was growing up, so that's one of the ones that I'm most attached to. That's why I love Corfish, because Corfish was great.
I love his voice.
He's got a great voice. If anybody has a problem with that, I'll have a problem with them. Robbie, thank you so much for the $30 donation as well. You didn't leave an unpopular opinion, so if you want to, please do. I know you have a lot of them, because you're a mod for me, and I know you have terrible opinions. So let me know. Toby, do you want to go with your first?
Sure, am I just going with my first one?
Yeah. Oh, and don't forget, everybody, if you want to join in and you want to donate $10 as a minimum, you will get your unpopular opinion read out on stream. But any amount is so greatly appreciated. $1, $10, $100, $1,000. If you got it, why not?
The more you donate, the more we talk about it.
Yeah.
That's it. It'd be so cool to get up to 19,000.
For 1,000 minutes of content, we will talk about it if you donate 1,000. Go for it, Toby.
Okay, so this one, I don't know how many people are going to disagree, but the Froakie to Greninja line isn't that good. It's just clearly better than the other two in that generation. But as a Pokemon and as a set of Pokemon, calm down, we're a bit overrated with it, no?
I mean,
I don't agree because I love that line. I know. I think the main reason.
If you put it in a lineup with most other starters, how often do you think, like, if you had every starter option available to you, I think you'd find Greninja's quite far down that list. Maybe I'm wrong. No, okay.
Greninja is like easily top 5 for me. No, I think it's because you have Froakie and then you have Frogadier, which looks like a clear evolution, and then you have Greninja, which is kind of different to Frogadier because obviously he loses the bubble scarf and he has just a massive tongue wrapped around him. So that's mainly because the artist who designed Greninja is different to the artist who designed Froakie and Frogadier.
Really?
But, yeah.
Wow.
Okay. It was the same artist who did Piplup and the Oshawott line and some other Pokemon.
Wow.
But I remember when the Gen 6 starters were revealed, and initially Fennekin was my favorite, but as the evolutions progressed, I saw Frogadier, thought, okay, Frogadier is easily the coolest of the middle. And then Greninja was released, and obviously Greninja is the fan favorite of the three by a long margin, and for good reason.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that, like, calm down, it's not that good.
Well, what would you say is
you're just saying it's overrated, and we get it. But, like, doesn't mean that
it's overrated.
You may like it less because it's overrated. I feel like that's what.
No. I don't like it less because it's overrated. It just sort of came to a point where I was playing X and Y, and I was like, okay, well, what starters do I want to pick? I definitely don't want to pick Chespin. I definitely don't want to pick Fennekin. Okay, I guess I'm using Froakie again. And then I'm looking at this model for like Frogadier and Greninja, and I'm just like, oh, I'm just so done with this as an option. And actually,
what do you mean?
I don't even know if I like it in comparison.
You had to pick it. You're saying?
Oh, I mean, in X and Y, I feel like I have to pick it because I feel like it's the only option for Pokemon that I would ever want to use. But then, even then, I'm just like, do you know what? I actually think that it seems better because the other two seem really bad. That's, I guess, what I'm saying. By comparison,
I mean, it's a thing that is a factor. It's not a factor why it's so popular, but it's a thing. It's like a thing that it's a valid thing to think. I think it makes sense.
I think the main reason I don't agree is because if I put Froakie in another starter line, I'd still want to pick Froakie.
Well, then fair enough. Fair enough.
Can I just say?
I think it's an above-average starter. So then, yeah, I disagree, but I also agree that it is better than the other two, and therefore people like it a little bit more.
I guess that's where I feel like it lands. For me, it's an average starter.
Okay.
You know?
So my question to you, Toby, is that what other starters do you think would get you excited? That do get you excited?
The Cyndaquil line, Totodile line tend to, Bulbasaur line tends to,
Bronze
the
face.
Mudkip line especially, the Torchic line, all of the Sinnoh lines equally, I think they're perfect.
I'll accept that.
Gen 5, not a lot gets me buzzed. Or Gen 6. Gen 7, I like Rowlet, but I don't love
Oh my god, disgusting opinion, my dude.
What, liking Rowlet?
No, not liking Decidueye.
Yeah, I don't really like the Decidueye that much. It's weird, it's a weird shape. It's like, because Rowlet's like this little orb, owl, ghost thing, and suddenly it's like this really like, Froob shape.
That's literally every starter.
Did you expect it to stay round?
You wanted a round now.
It stayed round and it just got bigger and bigger.
Okay, what's your opinion on the Tepig line then? What's your opinion on the Tepig line?
I don't know.
I was thinking about that.
Okay, so here's the issue with the Tepig line. It is exactly the same as Gen 6, except I think like I think the Gen 5 starters are even worse. And I think Tepig is like, if you catch it at the right angle or in the right artwork, I'm like, oh, actually Tepig's really cute. But like, I think the transition to 3D didn't do it a lot of justice. I liked Gen Ball when I first played. But...
I have opinions on the Gen 5 stars, but it's one of my things.
We'll get to that.
Wait till we get to it.
I do have to say a couple different things. Toby, I think that was a very close poll that was run, but disagree got 27 and agree was 26. So it was one vote.
Fair enough.
And I have to say, I'm Fennekin. I prefer.
I picked Chespin, by the way. Like fine with Chespin.
I'm Fennekin line. Breakson.
I've done a run through with all of them. I just yeah.
That's fair. We have some donations to get through. Jake, thank you so much for the $10. Arcanine is my least favourite of the 3 main fire types you can catch in Kanto. I have much more attachment to the Majestic, Ninetales, and Rapidash. Huge fan of True Green. Thank you so much, Jake, for the $10.
Ninetales understand Rapidash.
I mean, he just made. They just made like appreciate more majestic designs, I guess. Although Arcanine is pretty majestic.
We disagree, and I think when it comes to shinies, the shinies definitely went out from Ninetales and.
Wait, I disagree. I just understand their opinion. Like Arcanine is my second favorite Pokemon, by the way. So it's like.
You know what? I take it back. I understand where they're coming from. I have no issue with that. I don't know if I agree, but.
Look at that growth. That's good.
Those are good Pokemon.
Jake, thank you again so much for that $10. Zach, thank you so much for the $10 as well. Time Sorcerer, $10 as well. Thank you so much. As someone currently working towards a living dex, Gens 1 to 7, almost done with the main campaign for Gen 4, I find the whole drama with the Pokédex in Sword and Shield is sort of... Oh, this could get spicy.
No. Do you have time for that?
As I'm reading this, I'm thinking, a bit blown out of proportions. The actual project of catching them all is quite the production now. I really think most people took issue with Game Freak's lack of good PR around it more than the actual limited Pokédex feature. And they are a little bit salty about the Johto stars as well, though. So yeah, do we want to get into Sword and Shield decks?
It was one of my unpopular opinions.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you agree with Time Sorcerer?
Yeah, I think so. I think like the actual Pokédex thing drew attention to. Okay, but hang on, they're saying it's like animation, they're saying it's budget, they're saying it's time, whatever. And then you look at people look at those things. The fact that it got called the National Dex thing, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think the most of the actual problem was with the National Dex. I think
it was just the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right. But the National Dex itself is like, it was never that big a deal. The actual Pokédex thing. Although, that said, I remember being at a convention and being like, hey, show of hands, who's really genuinely bothered about the National Dex and who isn't? And the room was 50-50, just split, just like in the middle. It was pretty equal. People going, no, I'm seriously bothered about this. And then other people being like, no, I'm not. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's probably one of those things that at the time when you hear it, it's just like shocking, but then the longer that it goes on for, the more you can digest it. I think also the fact that it was done, wasn't it announced in a direct, it was announced in a Treehouse Live or something after the direct. Yeah. And it was just kind of like sprung upon us in a rather strange way.
It was a bit like and I think also because Pokemon's had such a big like spotlight for being the biggest grossing media franchise, there's this argument that everyone wants to drop, which is, but they can do anything. Or they should be able to do anything, which, I don't work in game dev, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. In terms of the National Dex, they 100% could have put every Pokemon in the game, but obviously, because they're having to release one game every year because of how big of a Pokemon franchise is, the games have to be in line with the TCG and the anime and everything else. Obviously they didn't have time to add everything, even though they could have, and obviously, they did add some more Pokemon later, and they could have added the others, but I'm guessing they saved a lot of them for future games. Like, I'm sure a lot of them is going to be in the Arceus game. But I also feel like a lot of the people complaining about the national decks were also people who didn't do the national decks in the first place.
Yeah.
And now that they're being told that, oh, the national decks is going to be in it, now they're rioting. Even though there is a decent chance that they didn't complete the national decks in all the games that they've played before. Because, you know, I've completed the national decks in some of the games, not all of them, because I remember completing it in X and Y. And then ORAS comes out, and I was like, can I be bothered to do it again? Probably not.
Yeah.
Can I say a related unpopular opinion that I had that I could have said later, but maybe you should say now?
Can I say something before you say that?
Yeah, definitely.
Don't forget to donate, everybody. If you want to donate, / donate in the chat, that will get you the link. $10 at a minimum, and you will have your unpopular opinion read out on stream for us to dissect. Ron, go ahead.
It's basically that the smaller decks and the incremental additions through the DLC in Sword and Shield were what gave me the motivation to actually catch them all. And Sword and Shield was the first game where I actually completed the national deck.
Same.
Because of this. So I think it was actually a good idea, not like obviously not disregarding all the disingenuousness and the bad PR. It's just, it was a good game mechanic for me, at least.
Yeah, I think what people weren't necessarily upset about the whole of the national decks being removed. It was more so the thought of, oh, my favorite Pokemon might not make it into the next game, so to speak. So they're kind of just panicking for that. Not necessarily like I don't. Obviously, somebody's favorite Pokemon is Onyx, but like I wouldn't cry if I never saw another Onyx again. Like, yeah.
I think there's a weird thing with Pokemon as a franchise where, like, because no other franchise really has this, where, you know, Pokemon Silver, Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, and Pokemon Sun and Moon, they're separate games. You pay and you buy the games, and they're entirely separate. The fact that you can transfer content and move content along, it is like an additional thing that you pay an additional price for, but there's nothing saying you have to transfer your stuff up to the next stage. Like, you can just enjoy. And actually, one of the things I felt recently with having had all of my Pokemon from the past 10 years all in storage, and every time a new game comes out, I've got Pokemon Bank and transfer and do, you know, PAL Park and do all that stuff, is that I'm like, do you know what? I really sort of wish I just left them where they were, because I'd have a lot more fun just jumping back onto an older version of Platinum with all of my old teammates there in the sprite arts they were at that time. And that I'd still be able to enjoy that game and do post-game stuff and do Battle Frontier stuff and so on and so forth. But Pokemon's in a really weird, unique position where they've included this feature for the last 20 years, so now it's kind of like an expectation, and it's just interesting. It's just interesting.
Somebody just said they started it in Gen 7. I don't quite understand what they said. I think most people were disappointed by Gen 7 and projected it onto 8 because they could not name a reason with Dexit, so to speak. Interesting.
This is a separate thing, but I feel like a lot of the flaws of Generation 7 were decisions, not because they were lazy or anything, but they were just bad decisions, while a lot of the flaws with Generation 8, I never like to say laziness, were more about time constraints and less because of they did weird decisions, and more just they didn't give it their all in where they needed to. So it's like the opposite problem, but part of the same coin, and that's why it felt like a longer, multiple generations of disappointment.
Sure.
So
we could probably talk about Dexit for 5 more hours, but I don't think anybody wants to.
I could just take the entire thing, but
yeah. Drooper Senior, $25. Thank you so much for that donation. Arbok and Weezing's Goodbye, I assume this is in the anime, was much more heartbreaking than Butterfree's Goodbye. They were around for so much longer and have gone through much harder times because they were always losing.
I'd agree.
100% agree.
I don't really remember them. Them leaving. Was that at the end of the anime?
It was early on in Hoenn.
Because they stayed on.
Pokemon poacher with a Tyranitar, who's rounding up Coughing and Ekans, probably for Team Rocket runs, to be honest, and then sell to them, and then And then coughing and wheeze, Jesse and James are like, just go! Save the coughing and the wheezing!
Yeah.
And then like 3 episodes later, Jesse gets a replacement Arbok and Survivor. And it's kind of like, yo, it's been 5 minutes, rebound.
I think it's also sadder because Butterfree gets a happy ending, just goes off with its partner, happily, whereas James and Jesse's Pokemon kind of have to like run away, and like we don't for sure know if they got out fine, whereas Butterfree, Butterfree's fine.
Yeah. $10 from True Girl. Thank you so much, True Girl. Can't stay long, so this will probably be talked about when I'm gone, but here's my opinion. I like how Oras dealt with Moorville. I thought it was a really cool twist on the original city, and I don't get all the hate. Is it hated?
Well,
I didn't realise it was hated.
I liked how it dealt with Moorville apart from the
Game corner.
game corner.
Yeah, but that's understandable.
What did they do with the game corner? Did they just shut it?
Yeah, they just shut it. They said,
Yeah.
we're closed by,
Okay.
and that's it. Which, in my opinion, is kind of lazy. You could have put something to replace that instead of just nothing.
But they did. Wasn't there like loads of other things?
There's like a lot of different, yeah.
Oh yeah,
There's a lot of different things. It's just...
Yeah.
It's just, I almost feel like it would have been better if there was nothing.
What,
there.
just not include a building called the game corner saying it's closed?
Or just include something inside it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Vault or flip.
Not Volta Flip. That's
something that isn't gambling.
Sure.
So go on.
What's another place? What's another city at least in a remake that has been expanded that much? I can't remember.
It's a really good way to do it. Honestly, it's a great way to go, okay, here's the original spirit of the town, that's fine. It doesn't, like, affect the overall game in a massive way. And it's like, there's new stuff in this game. Cool. Thank you for, I feel justified in buying it again.
I didn't realise that was unpopular. To be honest.
It's the weirdest thing to be unpopular.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that was unpopular.
But thank you, Truga, for the donation. Robin Rowler, thank you for the $10 as well. Spin-off games in general are better games with more to offer the Pokemon universe than the main series. Bring back Pokemon Ranger Colosseum. Also, Gen 1 is not as good as everyone... Oh, okay, that's a separate one. Right, we'll start off with the spin-off games. Spin-off games in general are better games with more to offer.
Does anyone want to take this?
I mean, I think it depends which
That
spin-off.
is-
'Cause no one is going to say Pokemon Dash is better than
I
the
think
main series
we'll
game.
if there's somebody out there, they're in the comments, I'm sure. Yeah. Spin-off games in
Which
general,
Pokemon
though.
did they say? Ranger and Colosseum.
Ranger and Colosseum.
Right,
Yeah.
but you pick the 2 good, like, really good ones. Of course those games are as good, if not better than main series, and I'd even argue better than certain main series. But you can't then, like...
They're different. Though.
Cafe Mix? Like, okay, fine. Pokemon Smile? Alright, are they generally better?
What's funny is that Pokemon Colosseum and then maybe also technically Pokemon Ranger, at least the original, are technically side games and not spin-off games because they interact with the main series games and therefore they are better. But also all the things that are good about.
Are they though?
I mean, I don't think Ranger is better than main series game, and Colosseum technically also isn't better than main series game. But what I was gonna say is that all the cool things were already established in the main series game. All the things you like about Pokemon that are in Colosseum and all the other games are technically already established in the lore of the main series game. It's just a new mechanic, new format of everything. It's like without the main series, these games wouldn't even exist. It's like
I think it really depends which you're talking about, because I know of people who prefer Mystery Dungeon to the main series games. But at the same time, those games are completely different. It's like, I can understand someone liking Pokemon Unite more than the main series, but that's mainly because, they played League of Legends, so they never played Pokemon, so obviously they're gonna like the MOBA game.
Yeah, or they just happen to really like MOBAs. And, yeah.
I think generally that comment is more aimed at the fact that maybe the main series game is still very stale. Like, it's still very much in its format. It's a very rigid format that it never breaks out of, so to speak.
Yeah.
But nobody wants, for example, Mystery Dungeon to change its format. It's just that's the format.
Yeah.
Each spin-off offers a new format on this cool franchise, basically. And it's whatever game you like.
It's like whichever format you prefer. Do you prefer?
Yeah. Go on.
the Ranger format? Do you prefer the Mystery Dungeon where you play as Pokemon? Do you prefer a fighting game like Pokémon, where
This is it. Pokemon's in like literally every genre right now.
Yeah.
They've got a game for everything. So if you happen to prefer...
Well, they don't have a first-person shooter, but I'm sure they'll get to that eventually.
Isn't it?
Oh, no.
Well, unless you count Snap.
First person.
Well, Legends Arceus.
Could
Yeah.
be. Could be.
Yeah.
Or get a Pokemon cameo in the next Splatoon game or something. It could totally happen. But like, I think some of the side games I prefer to some of the main games.
Byron.
Some of the side games I prefer to others. There are elements of the side games that I'd enjoy. That I'd love to see incorporated into the main series. But overall, I don't think that side games in general are better than the main series. I disagree with that.
We've lost Ron for a second, so we'll try and figure out what's happening with that. Ron, please come back to us. We need you. This one, while we're waiting for Ron, I want to get the chat's opinion on this one because this has got a large scope to it. $35. Thank you so much, Razzle Dazzle, as well, for contributing to the Direct Relief Fund. I really, really appreciate that. I'm sure we all do. The number one Pokemon that deserves another evolution is Macargo.
I mean, I'd argue Dunsparce deserves an evolution more than
Macargo was not the first one to come to mind. So yeah, chat, let us know. Number one Pokemon that deserves an evolution. I don't think that it's not Mega Evolution. It's just another resolution.
I don't know if it is the number one, but like if I put it up there.
I mean, I think sure, it could deserve an evolution, but I wouldn't say Macargo just because it already evolves.
Yeah.
So it already has a line, whereas Dunsparce is just it's on its own. It's like also there's also Pinkachin that probably deserves an evolution more as well.
Yeah.
I feel like the smaller, weak Pokemon that don't have any other forms arguably deserve evolutions more than other Pokemon.
Yeah.
I think Dunsparce is always the one that comes to mind because it was like in Gen 2, it's you go into Dark Cave and maybe you luck into one. And you're like, this is so cool, I've caught this really rare thing. And then there's no reward for that. And it really feels like, well, then what was the point? I feel
like Legends has the potential to give Dunsparce something cool.
It did it for Basculin, it could do it for Dunsparce.
Yeah, Dunsparce,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I see.
So the answer to that is I don't agree, Macargo, because Dunsparce comes to mind immediately.
Macargo is it's one of those Pokemon that you go, oh yeah, that is a Pokemon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those Pokemons like, it's no one's favorite Pokemon. I think more people prefer Slugma over Macargo.
Might be Razzle Dazzles, let us know. I see Dunsparce a lot in the chat. Somebody said Ditto. I don't know how that would...
No.
Yeah. Love Disc.
Ditto has its own, like...
Yes, it's
transforming.
niche.
I don't see how an evolution would build upon that.
Or be implemented, because Ditto's kind of fixed in its role right now. Lapras, Dunsparce, Shuckle, Girafarig. It's kind of an interesting one.
Girafarig I could see. I think, you're back. We can see
we're talking about which Pokemon deserves an evolution most, and the person said Macargo. What do you think?
There you go, there's Run. We got Run back.
That's definitely not the most.
And then I immediately just said Dunsparce.
Yeah, Dunsparce is definitely top 3.
Yeah.
I just spotted Eevee. I think Eevee's probably the most covered.
I would like Eevee to get evolutions of the other types, but it already has 8 evolutions.
I want more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone wants more.
But yeah, Razzle Dazzle, thank you so much for sharing. Appreciate that. $35. Thank you so much. PD Winnell, $10. Thank you so much. Let's have a look. Selling 2 copies of the same game with a few different version exclusive Pokemon is an archaic design decision. That's a difficult sentence. And with online play being a focal point, shouldn't be a thing anymore. That's a big topic.
I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. I think
that's
probably you're the only person that's unpopular with is Mr. Game Freak.
Yeah. The money.
Selling. Okay, it might be greedy, but at the same time, it's genius because it's gonna sell so many more copies by by, you know, one, some people are gonna buy both, and two, having some Pokemon locked away in the other version.
It's also you make a choice about the game world before you play the game world, and that invests you in it before you've even opened the box. Do I pick red or blue? Do I pick Let's Go Eevee or Let's Go Pikachu? Looking up what are the version exclusives, it allows a player to get invested. So I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's not archaic. You're right though, it's genius.
Yeah,
it's all those.
A really smart business decision.
Yeah.
And it's not something that, like, people aren't just not going to buy the two. Like, but you can't really hold a strike against that concept because people are still going to buy two or both of them. So it's kind of a hard.
Don't buy. Only buy one version. Everybody just buy.
Yeah.
If Call of Duty started doing that, then I'd be a bit
suspicious. Just buy the one and rely on trades.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you can trade online with people.
Navy Teal, thank you so much for the $10 on this. Enjoy your shiny Milcery as well. Congrats on that. That's a pretty good capture. This is an age-old debate, this one, so I'd love to see a poll on this one and see what the chat thinks. The Lions versus Pokemon debate. That classic egg has a fundamental problem that either party can work together as a group. And you can see this with the rivalries between Zangoose and Seviper and pretty much every legendary duo. If they're not truly unified, can we say that either side would win? That's interesting. So they're not necessarily saying who would win out of the two, but do you think that those two groups would get on and work as a team?
I mean, at that point, it's basically who outlives the other, and if Arceus is going to be chilling in heaven,
I think
then obviously Arceus is just going to outlive the Lions.
No, I think Pokemon are more intelligent than animals. Like, that's kind of part of what makes a Pokemon not an animal. And for that reason, I think that Pokemon, even when they're Pokemon that would typically fight, can recognize when there's a greater threat like a billion lions. And so I think Pokemon would unite together.
Like, all the psychic types will instantly unite.
Yeah. It's, you know.
I think it also depends on the terrain. Like, if it's just Pokemon on one side of the world and the Lions on the others, then this fight is never going to end. But if it's just like on like one bit of island where all of them can fit,
Battle
then
Royale.
maybe it's a little bit more interesting. Where, you know, the flying Pokemon aren't allowed to like leave or whatever. It depends on the rules of the battle, but in general, Pokemon obviously have the advantage, even though there's a lot less of them, just because you have legendaries that can, you know, destroy continents.
Their powers are too good.
Yeah.
I think their collective powers are like a billion lions versus 900 Pokemon. I just think the Pokemon are too strong.
Also,
especially now
that
they're adding even more Pokemon.
Yeah. I don't think more than 10 maybe more than 5 lions can become a ladder. So, and I think all psychic types can float higher than
That's an image.
Lions.
I will say, a billion lions would definitely beat a Caterpie for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I think it's kind of a case of okay, fine. Do Pokemon exhaust in the same way that living creatures do? And if they do, well, then it's just a case of, can the Pokemon, like...
Do they have PP? Will they struggle?
Right, well after 5 hours of killing lions, will they go, how many more? 40 million! Oh! And Mewtwo's just sitting there like, I can't anymore. Bye, everyone.
For example, Hoopa can, like, teleport all of them to a volcano at once.
Right.
It's like...
Yeah. Or Gengar just like opens its big chasm of a mouth and swallows them into the afterlife or something.
Buzzlord wouldn't tired.
Would Pyroar feel bad and switch sides?
He'd be the leader of the lions. Yeah. I now have a mental image of a bunch of lions laddering up and climbing, trying to get to Dialga or something.
Also, what advantage does that give? Because then only the top lion can do anything.
Yeah. And they could just like knock the bottom down and they all fall down.
It would be 50 male lions and 50 female lions.
50-50. Oh, Ashcarb says they can't think of an unpopular opinion. Well, thank you for donating anyway. it all counts. So thank you very much, Ashcarp. Thank you for the $10. And then we have a shiny Venonat that just got caught by Zorta. Amazing. Before I read this, again, don't forget, if you want to donate, !donate in the chat, that will get you the link. $10 donation will get your unpopular opinion read out on stream, and we will discuss it at length, I'm sure. So make sure to do that. Any amount is so greatly appreciated. 10, 20, 30, 1,000. Go on, somebody's got it. But yeah, Zorta, thank you so much for your $10. The true Hoenn regional bird is Wingull. This is interesting. Not Talo. It's much more common in Ruby Sapphire. Its evolution is everywhere, unlike Swallow, that is only on one route. And Pelipper is more iconic as a Hoenn Pokemon in later media. That's one I didn't think we'd be hearing today.
Well, the thing is, when it comes to the regional birds, it's like which early... It's the early bird, isn't it? Which
gets the worm.
Bird?
Yeah.
Yeah, and which early bird do you encounter first?
Yeah,
Halo?
I guess so. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like what the criteria?
And-
I don't think the criteria of a regional rodent or flying type is the fact that it's more common than everything else.
Yeah.
Well, then you could make an argument that, I don't know.
Could Spearow be a... But,
When do you
Yeah,
get Spearow?
you know, I mean, I think this is it's a fan term, right? So there's no like surefire answer to this. But if you're saying which one's like more like a mascot for the region, and actually I probably agree with
Yeah.
I do think when I think of Hoenn, I think of Wingull before Talo, but in terms of like the regional bird, as in like the early bird, then it's Talo.
That is not one I thought we'd get today. That's a good turn.
That was a cool one. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
good.
a good.
Get some unique ones. That's a very good one.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zorta. Again, don't forget !donate if you want to do that. And also, if you can follow the Pokéthon channel and host us as well, that would be greatly appreciated. Those are two things that you can do for free, so that really helps as well. So make sure to do that. Who haven't we heard from here? Is that Alex that we haven't heard from? Take it away, Alex. Go for it. Your first
so
unpopular opinion. Go for
My
it.
first one was that the Gen 5 starters are far and away the worst starter trio, and I would and I almost said the Gen 8 starters, but Cinderace line I think saves that line. So let me explain why, in my opinion, is the weakest. So first of all, you have the Tepic line, which in my opinion, Emboar is one of the ugliest things that Pokemon has made. I just think the line itself aesthetically is very weak, and I understand that it might make sense, but I just think a lot of people aren't going to look at that and they're gonna be their favorite. I think the Oshawott line is solid, but not like amazing. And then my favorite line is the Snivy line, but my biggest problem is that Serperior is so unfun to use. Like it's one of the least fun Pokemon to use in a playthrough because its moveset is mainly just normal and grass moves, and its stat distribution is it's fast with good defenses and low attacking stats, which I think is a really bad combination to have. And one of the reasons is that I really don't like how two of the Pokemon are just single types, and then the one that is dual type is firefighting, which is just the third firefighting in a row that we've had. So, in my personal opinion, it's the weakest starter trio.
Toby, you look like you were disagreeing.
Well, I was agreeing at points, disagreeing at others. I think, like, I agree that I think it's the worst starter trio, and I think that it's so weird because Gen 4 in my mind is a perfect trio, so for it to go that way. But like, for me, the issues with it I have is I don't think Emboar is super ugly. I don't have that issue. To me, it works. It makes sense. It's fine, and I really enjoy the sprite art, especially how it looks in Gen 5. I actually think it looks quite nice.
Yeah, I think the sprite art it definitely looks the best. It's
but
just in the 3D model ruins it a lot.
Yeah, and it being firefighting, I agree.
Yeah.
It's like third in a row, really.
Third in a row, and then the other two are just single types, I think.
The issues that I have with those is that, like, the Oshawott line, I don't think Oshawotts very cute. Duot's really cool. I think Duot's really cool. And I think Samurot's cool, but I think that transition between the line is kind of a little bit jarring. And then with Servine, I've just got issues. It's such an unpleasant shape. I hate the way that its body curves, and then it has feet, but what does it have feet? How does it stand without falling over? It's just uncomfortable. That's it.
I'm trying to remember what Servine looks like now.
It's the middle stage. I just don't understand how it holds its own weight. It upsets me.
Losing its limbs.
For a lot of what Alex said, I agree with the individual like things that he's saying, other than like Emboar being ugly. But like, the problem is that those aren't the criteria for me that make a good or bad starter, you know? And that's why I don't think, personally, they're the worst. I'm fine, I mean, I don't... Here's my problem. I really do like the designs of Samurott. I really do like the design of Superior. I do actually really like the design of Emboar. So I'm just gonna have to disagree. I like the designs of the three evolutions. I mean, I'm talking about like the first stages. The middle stage, honestly, nothing's offensive to me. I get like why Servine would make you uncomfortable, but like, I don't think it's a bad design. And it's just like, that's my problem. Where it's like everything you're saying makes sense, but I really like their design.
Okay, then my question to you is, what do you think is the weakest starter trio?
Probably Gen 6, honestly.
For me, it's between 5 and 8.
I think for me, Gen 6 is stronger because one, it has the RPG element going for it.
I like the international element of Gen 5.
And then Greninja.
Not to betray myself from earlier, but I think Froakie is the thing, just because it is okay, that edges it up for me above the
and again, if two of the starters from Unova I'm not a fan of, and then there's one that I do like, but it's like unpleasant to use. It's like, do I want to have an easier time in the game but using Pokemon that I'm not a fan of, or use a Pokemon that I do like but have a miserable time playing through with the Pokemon?
What do you mean miserable? That's the thing. That's why I agree with what you're saying, but it's never a problem for me as a starter Pokemon, because starter Pokemon are always gonna be strong, even if the move pool sucks or whatever. Like when I was playing through with Superior, nothing bad happened because it was always, you know.
For me, there was always times when Superior was just really underwhelming because, again, its stats are it's fast, but it has low offenses, which I think is a really bad combination to have.
The only time I used Superior the whole way through was about 2 years ago, and I called it True Green, and I did get stuck, and I had to rely on my Azumarill. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry, Ron.
Against what?
I think
against everything.
I think unless Superior has its hidden ability, which it didn't get in the earlier Gen 5 games, it's not fun to use at all. It's kind of like Meganium in a way, but I never really used Meganium because Feraligatr and Typhlosion were just much better options. But yeah, it's just a combination of terrible stat distribution and awful move pool.
Like, and another thing is, sorry, like for example, with your Emboar being fighting, like individually, I mean not individually, like with the context, yeah, that makes sense. That's not a good decision. But if someone said, here's Emboar by itself, you know, not counting Blaziken and Infernape, I'm like, yeah, that's a nice firefighting type for me. Like, I don't have a problem with it. It should be firefighting.
I guess obviously you're right in context, sure. But if the point is it's the worst starter trio, so you then look at it next to the starter trios, and then it's like, okay, oh, there's three fightings.
What do you mean? That's not part of the trio part. That's not like, if we're talking about just trio, for example, like Gen 6, it's not a good thing that two of them are not as good as this one that is way more popular. That's not a good balance. While I think Gen 5 is relatively more balanced, like compared to that, maybe even compared to
it might be more balanced, but the level of it is still here. Whereas Greninja like just raises the Gen 6 starters up enough. That's just my take.
It does, but like.
And then again, in my opinion, the second worst starter trio is the Gen 8 starters, but Cinderace brings them up.
Yeah.
But for me, for example, Rillaboom brings it up. It's so subjective. It sucks.
That's fair.
It. I lost you with the Gen 8 one. I was like, well, not really. Because I think the starters like the
Yep.
first stages.
Those were
Yeah, I
the
think
first stage. Yeah, those are the
I
best.
love the first stages. I just think the evolutions, especially of the Sobble evolutions, are really weak.
I think Drizzle and
I have a problem with that.
I think Drizzle's fine. I think Inteleon is just not that pleasant to look at.
I have a problem with that. I love Inteleon.
Yeah, I've fallen in love with it.
I mainly love it because it's just so weird and memeable. That's why I love Electrode. Just it's just like, what what is this?
Okay.
But yeah.
But what does the chat think?
I think most people went with Gen 8. I saw a lot of Gen 8s. Gen 5 won the poll, so I think most people do agree with you, Alex. But Gen 8 was also up there as well. So, yeah.
Okay. So I guess I have the popular opinion.
Yeah. Have we got one yet that isn't everybody's not agreed with for the
Let me
most
look
part?
at one. I think I have one.
I mean, I think I have one that will definitely sway people. But
Before you-
we'll let Ron go first.
Before you go to that, can I do Time Sorcerer's donation as well?
Yeah.
Time Sorcerer, thank you so much for the $10. And thank you so much for another $10. It's your second one, I think. Event Pokemon were often distributed at places that were inaccessible to players for various reasons, like uncooperative parents or just sheer long distances to the nearest Target, Toys R Us, etc. Since then, some players have used action replay devices to give themselves the opportunity to acquire these Pokemon that would otherwise be unavailable to them. As a collector, I don't find this to be wrong. Oh god, no, we're getting into action replay
Oh
again.
no.
Oh no, this is... Why did I read this one? As a collector, I don't find this to be wrong just for the purpose of collecting. But what are your thoughts on this? I do have to agree. I think let people go on with whatever they want to do, as long as it's not hurting anybody else.
Yeah, when it comes to hacking and cheating in Pokemon, if you're doing it for yourself and you're playing by yourself, who cares?
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
if that's how you play, then who cares? If you, I don't know, if you play Skyrim and you make every dragon Thomas the Tank Engine, which a lot of people do, who cares? But if you are using illegally hacked Pokemon to fight against people who don't know they're illegally hacked, then that I think that's a problem. If you're using illegally hacked Pokemon in an official tournament, then that's definitely a problem because it's against the rules. But if you're just doing it for yourself to have fun, I don't see anything with that. I think
No.
It's not cheating unless it's actual competitive. That's it. Like, that's what the word
Basically.
cheating means when you're competing with someone else.
Unless you're interacting with someone else who doesn't know or doesn't want doesn't want to go up against this, because you're then in a way ruining the experience for other people. But if you're just doing it for yourself, again, you're not hurting anyone, so it's like, who cares?
I think that's where people get confused with the argument of going against it, is that they think they're going to use it for a VGC, or they're going to
Yes.
throw them onto Wonder Trade and just spam it everywhere.
Yeah,
but some...
that's a problem.
Yeah.
But again, if you're just doing it for yourself, I don't see anything wrong with that.
I don't think anybody's advocating for that. I think that if you're keeping it in your PC, I couldn't care less what you do with it, to be honest. Yeah. Ron, you said you have a good one. Go for it.
It's not the most interesting one, but it's definitely one that I have way more interesting ones. But this one is definitely one that I have a chance at being the most unpopular. which is
Okay. Keeping score, right? Go.
that I like surfing in ORAS a lot.
Okay.
Let's say Hoenn. If I say Hoenn, that's maybe even more spicy, but it is specifically ORAS.
Okay.
Although no, I did enjoy it as a kid in Ruby and Sapphire, but I just think it's better objectively in ORAS.
I don't
I think
disagree
it
with
would
you.
have been a bit spicier if you said I like surfing in Diamond and Pearl, but I guess Oras works.
I think it's just not. The thing is, I think it's a strength of Hoenn. The fact
You like
that
the
there are
extra
so many.
water then?
I think it makes Hoenn feel like an expansive region where you could you never finish discovering new things, even if you objectively did. But it just feels like it's the most expansive region because of it, and including the dive mechanic, all the places.
The issue isn't the water; it's just the sheer amount of tentacles, right?
You can just repel, or
You can repel
especially
that.
you can repel, and it's not a problem at all for me. And in ORAS specifically, the encounter rate is so low, it's just not a problem.
What's the main problem with it? Why don't people like it?
It's definitely less interesting than a
Yeah,
normal
I
group.
think you have to surf a
Right.
lot, and
Sure.
random encounters does make it worse. But again, you can repel, And if it wasn't random encounter and it was like, let's go, where Pokemon popped up, I think it would have been much more well received.
Also, those routes are like very open world. It's almost like
I
you
like
go from which I think is cool. But you go from like relatively linear routes with like multiple paths that kind of intertwine to a very large surface area, and there are rocks that kind of guide you around certain directions. But I think it's just harder maybe for people to map out like, oh, this is where I'm at, this is where I've been, I've seen this patch of water before. But I think that's exciting, you know. And then by the time you get down and you've discovered the Pacific Dock Town, you're just like, what is this? What have I found? It's so exciting the first time.
Yeah, like all the cool discoveries that you can make because of this mechanic is worth it for me. Like discovering Sutopolis, discovering what's it called, Evergrande, discovering Pacific Log, going to the currents in the routes west of Pacific Log. Like there are a lot of interesting stuff. Diving, waterfalls, like even this doesn't count, but like riding on Latios or Latias and just like seeing the region itself is just cool.
Skyhawk says, I don't think the problem is surfing as much as water routes aren't as interesting to a lot of people, which is what you just talked about there with all the different things that you can do. Yeah, sure.
I guess the fact is that with a regular route, you have an option whether to be on a tile that can cause an encounter or not, you know? Whereas I think, obviously, once you're on the water, everywhere is danger, and it adds that level of... But again, you can just repel. It's not a big deal.
At that point in the game, when you can unlock surfing, you should have repels. So, yeah, it shouldn't really be too much of a problem. Does Hoenn have too much water? The poll says no. More water, please. So 13 to 10. So, yeah.
Get him next time.
Zach, thank you so much again for the $10. I think that's your second one as well. Thank you so much. This one actually kind of hurts me personally.
Oh boy.
The Alola games, specifically Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, has the best story. The second part of this, and the Diamond, Pearl, Platinum story, is a bit weak and hasn't aged well, which is really good with the remakes on the horizon. It's good to hear.
I think I disagree.
So I think we have to take that in two parts. The Alola, let's go with the thumbs up, thumbs down. Alola games have the best story. Do we agree? Yes or no's?
Depends. So story and plot are two different things technically, right?
Sure. They said story, so I'm going to lean with that.
What's funny is that I'd say the plot is the best.
Yeah.
The story.
It has cutscenes.
Yes.
Are they including the Rainbow Rocket stuff as well?
We'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say yes. Sure.
They said Alola or Sun and Moon?
Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. They didn't say Sun and Moon. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Although they said no, the Alola games specifically Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. So let's focus in on that, I guess. Yeah.
My opinion is similar to that, but it's not like that extreme.
Yeah.
You know.
Sorry, I missed a little bit. The audio just cut out completely for me after you read the thing. But it's back now.
Oh.
Okay. Toby, Alola games, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, best story. What do you think?
That was quick.
Moving on.
The plot of Sun and Moon is better than Ultra Sun and Moon, if that's what we're saying. But I like all the story things that are in Ultra Sun and Moon more.
Do we think Gen 5 holds a candle close to it?
Yeah, I think Gen 5 is slightly better.
Most people lean towards Gen 5 having the best story.
There's an
but its plot isn't better.
It's, I feel like I don't know which Pokemon game has the best story though, because I've played through these things so many times. At this point, I'm just sort of a bit desensitized to it all, and it's kind of like with the story you make it. You know, it's the adventure that you're able to have by yourself. It's a role-playing game. So if you're talking strictly about the plot, it's really hard to say, but definitely Usum does not jump out as like oh yeah. Do you remember that exciting moment? Honestly, Usum is the same as Sun and Moon, except with less things that make sense to do with Luzamine, and then the Rainbow Rocket stuff's really cool. but
I like the
yeah,
reveal of Ultra Necrozma.
Yeah, I love.
there's cool elements.
Because it's like
best.
you know, it's something that wasn't in the original Sun and Moon, and people who weren't spoiled for it didn't really see it coming.
The
And
day
it's
of
just like
release.
It's just like this giant battle that's borderline unfair,
Yeah.
unless you have specific Pokemon to counter it.
This is a complicated one.
Just want to point out our very own Galactic Elliot. Thank you very much for being here, Elliot. Says Gen 5 needs 2 separate games to have a full story.
That's not bad. That's a lot of things.
Yeah.
I've got quite an unpopular opinion that kind of ties into this then, which is
like
Sure, go for it.
Black and White never really tackled the idea of Pokemon as like slaves to people, or the morality of whether it's right or wrong.
Technically, Black and White 2 did it.
Okay, well, there's an intro cutscene in which you meet Team Plasma, and everyone's like, "Oh, is it wrong to keep Pokemon in Pokeballs?" And I played through those games 3 or 4 times at this point, and I am confident that beyond that cutscene, there is very little to no mention of this like compelling point of them, other than them being like, "We're gonna liberate Pokemon," and like that discussion just doesn't go anywhere. And so it's not a more mature topic. It's not a more like, or it's not a. It's such a non-thing. It's like, you know, like, whereas at least like Team Aqua and Magma are very consistent about their nonsensical plots to overrun the world with water or land. You know, I just feel like Team Plasma were kind of like, it's wrong to put Pokemon in their Pokeballs, so there, and then that's it. And then occasionally they're like liberation, and it just didn't follow through on the promise it makes at the beginning.
That's why the plot isn't good, but the story is. The plot is the progression, things that actually happen, the arcs, the events in order. That's what the plot is. And Sun and Moon does it way better. It feels more cinematic, right? It feels like an actual like story. But the story elements, like the things that are there to like, that it's just more interesting in Black and White. Like there's a lot of cool things with N and like just the region itself, the lore, stuff like that. While Sun and Moon has that too. It's just, I don't know.
Before we wrap up Zach's one, I just want to point out the poll. The poll was which game has the better plot, Sun and Moon or Ultra Sun and Moon, and it was tied 16-16.
Really?
Yeah, which is interesting when you think about it, because they're like, to me,
best story overall.
Yeah.
Like, better than all the other games.
Oh no, just that between those two. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about in all of them.
No.
I mean, I think I preferred the story of Ultra Sun and Moon just because it had Rainbow Rocket.
Yeah.
There's just more into it.
I prefer the gameplay of Ultra Sun and Moon way more, but I think Sun and Moon has a better story.
Like,
Just like, it's a better plot.
the only thing I remember that's different in Sun and Moon is that Lily leaves Alola. I don't really remember any other differences.
I did really like how Lily, her arc continues in Ultra Sun and Moon, and she actually becomes a trainer, which is cool. But half of that donation was about Generation 4 being bad.
I do want to.
And I kind of agree. I think
do want to.
Generation 4 is pretty stupid.
Let me just.
That's stupid. It's not stupid, but it's just
I mean,
top tier.
We'll get into it. I do just want to repeat it so everybody knows what we're talking about. So, Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum story is a bit weak and hasn't aged well. Ron, go ahead, seeing as you're passionate about it.
No, I agree. Literally, what people like about it is just Ghetsis. I'm not Ghetsis, Cyrus. And I like Cyrus a lot. Like, but I don't hate. I think Team Plasma there's nothing interesting about Team Plasma
Team
itself.
Galactic.
Sorry, why do I keep on talking about Gen 5? Well, that's why I like Plasma way more than Galactic. But like Galactic, it's just they're following Cyrus. That's it. That's what.
It definitely would have been cool to see more inclusions of like the grunts and the admin sort of doubting Cyrus's plan or wondering if following him is right. That stuff would have been cool. I don't think it was like bad, and I think the idea of like a megalomaniac, is that the word? You try to awaken a god so he can become a god himself. I think that's like, yeah, I'm up for that. I don't think he's bad.
Hang on, you say that the grunts are just following Cyrus? Isn't that almost every team?
But they have a reason for following. Like we see why they want to follow him.
Yeah.
Here's just because Cyrus is cool. We like Cyrus.
Yeah, that's the thing about Cyrus is he's not a very enigmatic leader. He's like, how do you how do you have supporters? They added that scene in Platinum, right, to like to where he gives his speech, his rallying speech to the people of Team Galactic, to just kind of add any level of like, oh, this is why people follow him. But
Yeah.
it's just kind of weird because actually when you interact with him, like he's not a cult leader in the way that you as a trainer on your journey would go, who's this guy? I want to know what this is about, this new universe stuff. You know,
The bond of the admins of, let's say, Team Aqua and Magma to their leader feels way more passionate and more believable. And for example, Team Plasma, all of those members have a reason for being on Team Plasma. They all believe in the cause. Even Team Flare, it's like, yeah, if you're bad and you want the world to destroy, I would want to be part of the cult that doesn't get to be destroyed. Like, it makes sense. I hate Team Flare compared to every other region, every other team. Probably my least favorite, but like, it makes sense why Team Flare exists.
I do just have to quickly say, Flygon HG, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, everybody. You join us on the Pokéthon channel. We're rating your unpopular Pokemon opinions. So if you do want to donate to Direct Relief, the charity that we're raising money for today, you can do !donate. If you donate $10 or above, we will read out and discuss your unpopular Pokemon opinions. We need some good ones. We need some spicy ones to divide us. So welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. Follow and host if you can. That would be absolutely appreciated. And Flygon, thank you so much for the raid as well. Diamond Pearl Platinum Story Week. 34 people said no, and 13 people said yes. I'm inclined to say no as well because I am blind, nostalgic, and I don't care. So
I still feel like if you merged Team Galactic's plan and style with Team Flare's like dialogue and mentality, you'd have like the best of both.
Yeah.
You'd have like,
Really?
yeah.
I feel like they're the most similar.
They're super similar, but I just feel like the problem with Team Flare is it's like, okay, you want to be rich and then live on the other side after the apocalypse, cool, but why do you look like that? And what's the
That's
deal?
not a
with
problem.
What's the
Why
deal?
do you look like
Galactic
that?
looks goofy too.
Yeah, but like Flare are just budget magma. Like, okay, we've got a fire team. We don't need another fire team. Why are you Flare? What's the?
I
What's
mean,
the name? It has nothing to do with the
Look good.
thing.
Like, just yeah, that's a bit rubbish.
is Flare not more for style than like flair?
Yeah, like it makes
Because it's
Yeah.
isn't that region about like beauty and like
Yeah.
France and
they want to. I think they wanted to reset
Yes.
the world to have a more beautiful world.
yeah.
But my question is, what was the point of Team Yell again? They were just
Oh, we can't go
Mons
in- yeah.
fanboys.
We can't go into that.
They've
Is
got
that
more
it?
personality than Galactic Grunts, technically, then.
Okay, I'm going to move on before my veins start showing.
Yeah.
So, Pacific Skyfish, $35. Thank you so much, Pacific Skyfish. The Gen 5 games were easily my least favourite. Ooh. After playing them the first time, nothing from the story stuck with me so much. I never touched the second game. Well, that's probably where you're going wrong. Now that I'm older, I'm open to replaying to see if my opinion changes. My first thing would be play both games. I would say that kind of would help you form an opinion on that one. But Gen 5, where do we rank Gen 5 games in terms
Ron,
I,
use Quick Attack.
It's my favorite
I will
generation.
say Black and White 2 was the first Pokemon main series game that after the Elite Four I didn't touch. Like I didn't do any of the
Right.
Really?
post-game stuff. But I do think that the post game of Black and White 2 is a bit overrated because it's mainly a lot of I feel like it's quantity over quality. Like you have the you have the tournament with past characters, which is really cool, but everything else is a bit. It's just a lot of.
Agree.
I just feel like
It's a nice two.
Like I think I would rather have another entire region to explore, like in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, than
That's a different conversation, though. Right now, we're defending it, not saying why it's
as
not
a good.
overrated.
Oh yeah, where it ranks in the games.
Yeah, I would
I
say
mean-
one to 8. Where are you putting it in terms of generations? Overall, everything
God.
encompassed.
So,
I don't
so
know,
where
I-
are you?
I think it's, I think it's the top.
The
Yeah.
number 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
I put it in the. I probably put it in the top half. I don't know where though.
Yeah. Toby?
I think it's pretty close to the top. I think Black and White and then Black and White 2 provide very different experiences. Where Black and White is this kind of complete refresh, and it's kind of like you want to experience the original Gen 1 kind of feel, but in a more modernized package. That's it. It's all new Pokemon, and it's, you know, some of them are going to be familiar in feel, and some of them are new. It's fine, but then Black and White 2 is like next level. It's like it's way more challenging. You're re-experiencing the region, going through a different direction. They solve issues that the first one had, where the region's quite circular, by making you kind of web across it with different pathways. And in the post game, you don't just have the World Championship, which by the way is like one of the coolest facilities there is, but you've got the towers where you can battle Benga and get a shiny Pokemon as a gift. You've got the nature preserve with cool level 100 Magikarps and shiny Haxorus. You
have another quarter of the region too.
Yeah, you got so many areas you get to explore. You get to re-explore areas from the first game that you otherwise didn't get to explore. The only thing I think is really missing is a red style battle with the player from Black and White 1. Cool. Other than that, like, I think they're really solid games. Like I think they're really upper tier.
In general, Generation 5 is probably the most replayable too, because of seasons as well, in terms of backtracking to places.
Sure.
Yeah.
The poll gave it a ranking of 4 out of 5, which I think most people would put it in a 4 or a 5. And Pacific Skyfish, I would definitely say play the second game. Just
it's better than the first one.
Yeah.
I think Black and White 2 are the best Pokemon games.
There's so many hidden things in it as well. There's like the whole dating side game with the trades to unique Pokemon. There's a bunch there. There's the N extra link thing, like,
oh yeah,
flashbacks and add more story if you want. I'm almost convincing myself right now that it might be the best Pokemon game. I'm gonna replay Black and White 2. You can give me. And I've flipped on this over the years. Even
just in the game, like going back to N's castle and like seeing N's completed arc is really cool.
I think the thing that the stick that Gen 5 gets beaten with the most is the Pokemon. Do we agree? Disagree with that? Of course.
I mean, why it has the most hate is because it introduced the most Pokemon. So obviously it's gonna have people complaining about it. And yeah, a lot of the designs were weird, but it also introduced some really cool Pokemon. So
yeah.
It has the same amount of cool Pokemon as any other generation because of how many Pokemon there are.
Yeah.
I mean, it introduced the Pokemon that's based on trash.
But that's a good Pokemon.
Yeah, that's not the worst.
Well, I think Rubbish is a good Pokemon. I don't think Garbodor is a good Pokemon.
I think it's the opposite for me, honestly.
There's a really cool new Pokemon card of Garbodor in the latest set. It's dope. But and then Gigantamax with the
Gigantamax one was kind of funny, yeah.
Garbodor, they're cool parts of the line. I think that it's such a big Pokedex that there's naturally going to be a lot you dislike and a lot you do like. The issue that I have with the ones that I don't like is that they are, unfortunately, I think, quite early on, and you're sort of like the elemental monkeys and the starters. You're sort of forced into taking some of those options, and so. But that's fine. You don't have to.
And a lot of the cool Pokemon you can't really use on your team because they either evolve really late or they find them really late.
I think that's one of the biggest problems.
That is, that's a huge flaw.
Hydreigon level 64. Yeah. Evolving a Pokemon level 64 is ridiculous.
I think what we're going to do, we almost have 20 minutes left, roughly about, of the segment. So what I do want to do is I want to strip away the incentive. If you can donate any amount, we'll do a little bit of a speed run, basically. So any amount you can give, $1, $10, $100, whatever you want to give, feel free to put your unpopular opinion in there, and we will do a speed round of it. Whilst we're waiting for those to come in, can I just quickly do a cheeky one of mine, if that's all right?
Yeah.
Because I think I might take the cake with this one. I think, I'm kind of scared to say it, I think Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing is a better feature than Mega Evolution.
I get the same enjoyment visually on both of them. I think the designs of Gigantamax Pokemon are sometimes better than Mega Evolution.
Can I say why? I think first of all, I'm not really a big fan of temporary form changes. So things like Mega Evolutions and Gigantamax Pokemon don't really interest me too much. I would much rather see actual fully formed evolutions. like Gliscor and Galley or whatever,
Yeah,
all the
sure,
Gen 4
sure,
ones
sure.
sort of
I
things.
agree.
The reason why I prefer Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing as a concept is because I think it brings more to the game in terms of content. Things like Dynamax Adventures, Raid Adventures, the post-game content that it brings, I think it just adds a lot more to the game than Mega Evolution does. Because all you can do really is go around, collect all the Mega Stones, and then do your little Power Rangers watch trick, whatever, when you're in a battle. Whereas I think Dynamax Adventures, I think that's probably one of the best features they've introduced since ever, really. I think it's amazing, and I think there's so much scope for what you could do with that as a concept. And I really do think it should. I really thought it would be in the Gen 4 remakes, but we haven't seen anything just yet. But that's why I think it just adds a bit more content. Not necessarily anything to do with Pokemon designs or what one's got what or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree in terms of the apparent. Like, I don't know much about competitive, but I agree in terms of the non-competitive experience in terms of gameplay. Just there's more to do. I never really used my Mega Pokemon, and nothing changed when I was battling a Mega Pokemon in the actual game. It just other than Mega Metagross in ORAS, that was like a challenge. That was cool for me. But yeah, gameplay wise, I enjoyed Gigantamax more.
I will just say as well, not from a VGC or battle point of view, because I don't do that.
Yeah,
so things like
exactly.
Megas or Dynamax, I don't really care. And plus, I just think it adds a whole lot more content, like the little raid systems and the events that they have going on all year round. I just think
you're right, from the perspective of like how you obtain them. Yeah, definitely. They've improved and made it better for Gigantamax, and the raids do add a lot. And the idea of is it going to be a regular raid or is it going to be a Gigantamax Pokemon? It's really cool. But in terms of functionality and the way the Pokemon look, I actually think they're pretty much the same. I'm convinced in an upcoming generation, when Megas return, Gigantamax Pokemon will just become Mega forms, or they will merge into Ultimate forms, and it will be a new thing. And yes, Charizard
just
will have
smaller.
Is there a Gigantamax form that changes the type of any of the Pokemon?
The type.
I don't think so.
I think that's the main reason why I prefer Mega Evolutions, is because it actually changes the Sceptile becomes a Dragon type, Charizard becomes a Dragon type. Aggron loses the Rock typing, but Steel is better than Steel Rock. It improves Pokemon. It actually feels like an actual evolution, whereas Gigantamax forms don't, in my opinion, because it's literally, it's the same. It's a Gigantamax form is the same tier as a regular Dynamax form, except they get a new move and that's it.
I thought I won the poll, but is Dynamax better than Mega Evolution? 23 votes say yes, and then there's 2 options for no, which is a bit cheeky. No and absolutely not, but I'm going to take the win anyway. Right, we're going to speed run these donations because we've only got 80. No, we've only got 8 minutes left. So again, get your donations in quick. Speed run it. We're going to go very quickly. Any amount you can give is so greatly appreciated. Even $1, we'll read it out and we'll get an opinion. So for us 4, I think we'll do a thumbs up, thumbs down sort of thing like that. Fruit, thank you for your $3. Oras is better than Emerald, even without the Battle Frontier. Battle Frontier would have been great though. Oras is better than Emerald. I'm gonna go,
Can't see your vote.
That's 3 downs. Is that 4 down?
Oras is better than Emerald?
Oras is better than Emerald. Yeah. As a tentative no from Ron. Thank you, Fruit. No, you're wrong. Nate Perkins, thank you for the $5.
That hurt.
Yeah, that was a tough one. All of the Gen 4 extra evolutions, so I assume things like Gliscor and Tangrowth and all those, improve on the form immediately prior to it. So basically every one of those Pokemon, they say all of.
I'd say most.
I would say most.
Yeah, I think most. I don't know.
Rhyperior, maybe Licky Licky, not so sure. But
I love Licky Licky. That's hilarious.
Good.
I like Licky Licky more than Lickitung.
He's absolutely hilarious.
I think the big one is Rhyperior.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Sure.
I think more people would like Rhydon more.
I mean, what have you got? You've got Gliscor, Rhyperior.
Gliscor's definitely better.
Mega.
Yeah. I think is a big improvement.
Mega. Mega's so cool.
Especially.
Yeah,
Mamoswine.
I love Magmortar and
Mamoswine.
I don't know if that's an unpopular.
I think I think the biggest, most unpopular one is going to be Rhyperior because Rhydon
Mamoswine is objectively better.
And I
Absolutely.
know a lot of people who hate Rhyperior's design in comparison to.
I don't even hate it. It's just, you know, take it all.
Yeah.
Like, Rhyperior could be almost a split evolution from Rhyhorn,
Yeah.
and I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
hate
Mega Revolution.
Rose Raid. Oh,
Yeah, Rose Raid.
Rose Raid, yeah.
Love Rose Raid.
I
Garrett
think
and Process like I don't-
Ampar, Miss Magius, Honchkrow, they're
Yeah.
all good.
Oh,
They're all-
Honchkrow. Oh, that's like way
All
better than
great.
Murkrow.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
most of them are just.
the ones that get brought up the most are, I think, Electivire, Magmortar. I think those
I
are the
think
two
they're
that
better.
gets brought up the
I
most. Do you
personally
think?
think
Maybe Dusknoir, because it's quite a departure from Desclops in
No,
terms of look.
I
Dusknoir's
think
so cool.
I think Dust Noir is a.
Yeah,
good
it's cool.
improvement.
yeah,
I think it looks cool.
I like them both quite evenly, I think.
Oh yeah,
Gallade is better than Curly.
Porygon Z as well.
Someone just said
Technically Leafeon and Glaceon, but...
Alright, this is not yes or no, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Sorry, yeah.
Gallade. Somebody said Gallade is a letdown.
I don't. Agree.
No, absolutely not.
What?
Also has one of the coolest looking Mega Evolutions.
Gallade's awesome.
Not that Megas are good. Obviously. So yeah, all of Gen 4 extra evolutions. What do we think? Yes or no, everybody?
I'd say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think of any of those. Again, keep your donations coming in. We've got around 5 more minutes, so any amount, dollar, any amount of those is greatly
It's,
appreciated, and we will get it read out.
18,300.
Yeah, what are we at? 18. Yeah, can we get to 18,300? What was that?
If you should I spitfire one quickly? if
Go
you don't
for
have
it. Yeah, yeah.
one? The graphical jump from 6 to 7 was really well done. Like Gen 7's objectively look better visually than Gen 6.
Oh yeah. Is that an unpopular opinion?
I don't know why everybody's like, no, nobody giving props to Gen 7.
Well, yeah, I think that sums up.
If you want an opinion that will really sway one, I have one that I think will sway people.
Go for it. Yeah. Got 4 minutes.
Detective Pikachu is a really bad movie. that's my unpopular opinion.
I agree.
really
Now
bad.
I haven't seen all the Pokemon movies, but of all of them I've seen, I think they're all bad. But I would say
Wow.
especially Detective Pikachu.
No.
I
don't think it's like a great movie. I just think it's an okay movie. And I think for bringing Pokemon into live action, it's a fantastic movie because you don't have anything else really to compare to. I think it did a really great job.
It gave me what I was there for.
Yeah. But in terms of like plot and thinking and like it was about what I'd expect from a kid's film, you know.
I just think if you take the Pokemon element out of it, it's just gonna
then sure.
And the director of the film, his resume is Shark Tale, Monsters vs Aliens, and the Jack Black film that's about ghosts. I can't remember.
Goosebumps.
Monster
Yeah,
House?
yeah.
I like all 3 of those.
I just feel like a lot of the Pokemon, some of them look good, like Pikachu and Bulbasaur. A lot of them look really ugly though. Like Gengar looked really bad. Charizard looked a bit weird.
Charizard looked exactly
Mewtwo had teeth.
Yeah.
I think, pretty sure Mewtwo had teeth in the thing.
needs
and
teeth.
looked weird,
Mewtwo.
I don't like how they did Apom because Apom's my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah, Apom was my least favorite there.
Yeah, he looked horrible. Oh, we got $6.90 donation. Thank you so much, Oliver. How are you doing? The GameCube spin-offs are better than the 3DS and Switch main series games. That's a big one actually. The
No,
GameCube. The
That's a
GameCube
thumbs down from me.
spin-offs. So, what are all the GameCube spin-offs? Just to clarify.
Coliseum XD, I think.
Coliseum, Gale Darkness, and technically Pokemon Channel.
Okay, they're better than the 3DS
down,
and
I'm afraid.
Switch main games. That's interesting.
I might have met you if it was just 3DS. But no, because actually Oras is still there. And Oras is still fantastic.
I think Ultra Sun and Moon is in my top 3, by the way. Just saying.
Really?
Not for me.
What's 2? You said
2
Gen.
is probably like Emerald.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I think that's a unanimous no. Everybody else, no?
No.
Any agreeers? No, I think we take that. Sorry, Oliver. But thank you very much for your $6.90 donation as well. Really, really appreciate that. Any other last minute quick fire ones? Anybody
This is
want
a
to
simple
fire?
one. Triple battles are really fun.
Yeah? Completely
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. I
And
didn't like rotation battles though, but
Yeah, I don't
triple
like rotation battles.
I
Triple
thought
battles.
rotation battles were cool. I liked the concept and the
confusing.
mind games behind it.
Yeah, it's interesting, but it's very confusing.
I just liked it was a different style of battling, and I don't like how they took it out because the graphics couldn't take it. or whatever.
But it couldn't.
I know that's the biggest problem, but yeah, I liked, as you know, different style of battling I enjoyed.
We've got another $10 donation from Skyhawk. Thank you so much, Skyhawk. Not so much an opinion, but I would like to say that Pokemon is the largest franchise in the world. That's true. Yeah, I think we could agree. Yeah, we'll agree with that. And because of that, a minority opinion in the Pokemon franchise can still be a million people. So no matter how much you love or you hate or love something in this franchise, there will be noticeable proportion of fans that disagree. I mean, yeah. Sure.
That feels like a really good note to end on. Actually.
Yeah,
that's summarized.
Summed it up very well, actually. Thank you very much for that, Skyhook, and thank you so much for the $10 donation. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you so much for all the money that you gave to Direct Relief. Thanks for all. Don't forget to follow as well, everybody. And thank you so much to all the guests today. Thank you so much, all three of you.
Having us.
This was amazing. This was really fun.
I'll take credit, so thank you. You're welcome for the whole event. But yeah, make sure to stay tuned because we're going to be going for a little 10-minute break. And then we've got Insane in the Rain coming up, doing a live Pokemon medley for an hour and a half.
The best.
You are in for an absolute treat, so make sure to stick around for that. And donate during the break if you can. Don't forget to host, follow the stream, and we'll see you all soon, I'm very sure. Thank you so much for coming out, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Bye.